No sound. Hello. 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 How are you? Bill. Bill, how have you been? Oh, great. Great to see you. Would you like to join my evil association? How are the minions? Great. Hello, everybody. So, yeah, I've got a couple of games. It's 96 degrees Fahrenheit at 6 p.m. in Budapest, Hungary. I've really gotten sick of this heat waves constantly. No energy. All right. So first game we've got to share today. I'm gonna just chill out and drink my coffee, but it's a game from one of our viewers. This is famous race car driver Schumacher playing against Tic-Tac chess. Tic-Tac chess. What's the time control? Oh, 45 seconds. Now, this is a serious game. This is a very serious game. Time control, 45 plus 0. 45 minutes? Oh my god, dude. Come on now. Alright. I can't analyze a 45-second game. No. Rolandson. Roland, son of Roland. Roland's son. Roland's son. Son of Stefan. Stefan's son. Stefansson. Stevenson. Rolandson. Then we have another game with a better time control. 30 plus 30, 30 plus something. This is from Pili M against another title player. Armand blah 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 blah. 30 simul game. Schumacher with a 45-second game. No. We're not going to analyze 45-second games here. Sorry, I draw the line at like 3-minute games. That is not happening. Alright, delete. So waiting for more submissions, but so far we've got Pili and the game that I put in. Pili Willy. But let's wait for the children to gather here. Hey everybody, get your rug and we'll sing songs and have a nap. It's like first grade. Son of Roland. Right. It's 96 degrees and I'm drinking hot coffee in my air-conditioned room, in my air-conditioned cave. No, I could have been playing poker tonight, but instead I decided to come here and stream for the non-viewers. Yesterday we had a good turnout for the tournament. A lot of players. People less excited to see me analyzing. Okay, so anyway, thanks for being a subscriber, Mr. Roland. So this is a game we just got from Pili M. Now we can start with this. White plays e4, black plays e5, white plays knight f3, knight c6, and then the scotch. So the first problem is this move. There's nothing that black can do other than pawn takes pawn, with the very, very tiny exception of the kind of crappy move d6. So chess isn't fair. You have to play pawn takes pawn. It's seriously not fair. Okay, pawn takes pawn. And now I plays the Scotch Gambit with bishop c4. So here is where things start to get interesting. This move that you played, that he played, Mr. Pili, is a move that I never really looked at, but it seems like a good move. Bishop b4 check. White, I would think like most times white is going to respond with c3. More commonly black plays knight f6 or the Max Lang, whatever this is, after bishop c5, and that's it. You know, offbeat suggestion like g6 or something, but I think there are some complications. Maybe not. Maybe g6 is a decent option. Bishop g5, perhaps. This is an interesting line. It's been played by a couple good players. Maybe bishop g5 isn't that scary. Nodirbek Abdusatorov. Never heard of him. So g6 is okay, an interesting alternative. Here the gambit c3 might be dangerous. That's worth mentioning. There's that. So anyway, serious moves: bishop c5, knight f6, or bishop b4 check. So bishop b4 check. Now I assume that white might have some alternative here with bishop d2 or knight d2, but apparently they're not too good. So white usually plays c3. How bad are those alternatives like bishop d2? You know, surprisingly, you got to admit this is a little surprising. I mean, the engine is like, okay, c3 is 0.1 advantage to black. Bishop d2 is 0.2, and knight on bd2 is 0.3. But the point is that these other moves are actually playable. Bishop d2 is playable. You know, like, practically no one plays it. It looks like it's playable. Knight d2 is playable. Again, basically never played viable moves. Not as testing as c3, I guess. And after c3, we have to take, and now the question is, what does white do? Does white castle? Does white take with a knight, or does white take with the pawn? And the engine really likes castles. And I did not know that. I guess I always assumed, like, capturing was better. Knight takes c3 has the best score. White has never lost a game there. That's going to be a lot of transpositions when they take c3 to this is going to transpose to yeah, what's it called, not the Danish gambit, the Goring gambit. But anyway, that's playable. B takes C is playable. It's ugly and reminds me of like a reversed fried liver or something. Like, funny that there's hardly anyone known here playing this. And then finally castle's the main line. I was gonna wonder, like, what happens if, like, c2? That's apparently not very good. So here's an interesting trick. Black should play, who would have guessed it? Black should play knight f6. If they castle, black should play knight f6. Not taking the pawn. Not playing c2. But knight f6, this is clearly the best move. Maxim Matlikov, Vidit, and others. Interesting. So where do we go after this? Like knight f6, e5, d5. This is crazy. Mamedov versus Matlikov, 2018. E takes f6, d takes c4. And then like almost every single game is a draw. Crazy. Queen takes, knight takes. Wow. Possible take with the king. But Mamadov didn't do that. What did he do? He took on g7, rook g8, queen takes d8 check. Now, take with the knight or take with the king. Interesting stuff. Anyway, a lot of interesting stuff. So you played bishop e4 check. Opponent played c3. You take. They take with the pawn. Now, it's like an Evans gambit. This is like not, in my opinion, not that obvious. Problem being like bishop c5, bishop takes f7 check. If bishop e7, it's hard to defend f7 because you block your queen. Bishop d6 is just awkward in general, although it's playable. Basically, black has to play bishop a5 to equalize. But I mean, look at the opening explorer. Karacsony Gellert, who I know, it's like a Hungarian kid. Is the only, like, almost the only player who's ever played this with white. The rest are like correspondence games. No, another guy against the Hungarian. Like a lot of correspondence games, a lot of people have never heard of. That's it, basically. Weird. So this is totally cutting edge. Castles, bishop b6, you know that. I mean, this guy, whoever this is, Arman, is playing something that is only known to like correspondence players. Bishop a3 now, and a4 is the best move according to the engine. Harold Hild, who obviously is a correspondence player. A4 is engine. Not obvious. I mean, some ideas of a5, but instead your human opponent played the more common move bishop a3, and now you play d6. D6 might be okay, but it allows this thing, you know, with e5. Although anyway, white can do that. The question would be like if you go knight e7 instead of d6 here, and white plays e5. Would you maybe be able to play, for example, d5 instead of d6 at some point? There could be some idea like that. Here, only correspondence games, e5. And what I'm saying is, like, will this come in the mix at some point? Like, this move hasn't been played in any of these correspondence games in the Opening Explorer. But it could be, because you're up a pawn. You can give a pawn back. Thanks. One game. Black is still equal after giving this pawn back. It's like playing against the Smith Gambit. King's Indian defense is back. So, anyways, you play d6, allowing this e5. You could transpose to said game here with knight on g to e7, giving the pawn back. But instead you play d takes e5, which looks more dangerous. Luckily, the queen is protected by two things. So, your move is okay. And now the opponent apparently has to find some kind of incredible move now. Knight on bd2. Which is certainly, you know, well, not obvious. If I were white, I'd be looking at like queen b3. There you have queen f6. Something on the e file, like what he did, queen e2. So he makes a mistake, queen e2. He should play knight on bd2. This is not an obvious move, and white looks like they're just like down a central pawn. You're going to be able to castle. But apparently black has to be more careful than you would think here. So if knight on g to e7, black is like nearly lost with knight g5. This is involving queen h5. So almost like a trap. black has to be aware of this knight g5, and that's why knight on e7 is not so good. So you have to play bishop f5 first, controlling the e4 square, and giving you the ability to play like bishop g6. Who would have known that? You know, this is so random. Bjock, I'm sorry, 45-second games? I don't think so. Give me a blitz game or something. I'm not going to go over 45-second games, dude. Knight on bd2, bishop f5, rook e1. Yeah, so this didn't happen. This is just analysis. The guy makes a natural move. It says simul, by the way, by a CM, I guess. Queen e2, you know, natural move. But the first question is the obvious question. Why can't you, well, let's say play the horrible looking f6? Just for argument's sake, there's problems with your queen now. So he's got these Smith-Morra type of ideas in addition to the direct threat here. And this is your queen's only way out. So you make a natural mistake now, but you probably need to play like queen f6 or something. Queen f6, it gets your queen out of trouble on the d file, allows you to defend the e5 pawn. Only thing I'm worried about is like knight d2, knight e4. But I mean, you know, even if that happens, you have like queen g6, queen f5. So the plan is queen f6 followed by knight e7 and castles kingside, something like that. But instead you play this lemon, and now your queen is like dead, you know? You're going to have to play bishop d7. That doesn't look good. Rook d1, bishop d7, so that's very awkward. Maybe your queen isn't dead, but anyway, at best case scenario, this is very, very awkward. What happens if knight g5? What's that? Game, Ultra Brawler. Hello, stream. Hello. What is that game? Another 45-second game? Okay. Dude. Hello. Share and export. Huh. Alright, let's see if I can get this. Rated not bullet game. Site. Oh my god. Copy and paste. Oh no. Copy and paste fail. Copy and paste. Copy and paste. Okay, copy. Hello. Copy. Alright. I'm so good with copy and paste. My studies. My studies. Okay, here. Paste. Add a chapter. Here. Alright. There we go. Son of Roland. Pixart. Okay. Anyway. We're doing this now. So your guy goes bishop d7, bishop takes f7 check. What's his idea? Bishop takes f7 check and what? What I'm wondering is like, why can't White just play knight g5? And then if you castle, he has queen h5. Why is it Dalek crushing? What am I missing here? Knight g5, killing the f7, and when you castle, he has this. What am I missing? Am I missing something? I don't think I'm missing anything. No. Apparently knight takes c5 is very strong, but I mean, okay. Yeah, they're both strong. But the guy goes here. This is crazy, right? Why did he do that? Bishop takes f7 check, overconfident. King f7, and then he's given up a piece now, an entire piece. So your white squares it's not that easy for him to get you on the white squares with the white square bishop check. And you have to look at f6. That's pretty dangerous. f8 looks dangerous. Everything looks dangerous, actually. I'm still scared. Bishop e6, anyone? Bishop e6. Knight g5 check. So, and knight g5, right? So, what are you gonna do? You're gonna sack your queen? Well, I don't have another idea. But okay. So I'm expecting knight e6 now, but now you have f2. Well, he was a little. Oh, please don't ask me about last time King's in the offense. Don't start with that. All right, so rook f8, knight takes h7. That's a very strange move by white. Knight takes h7. This is a ridiculous move. What is white doing? He's threatening a rook, no other threats. Well, why not knight e6? I mean, obviously you have moves here, like rook takes f2. I mean, white spiraled out of control in this game. Right. So rook takes f2, and you're winning. White offers a draw, white resigns. Make up your mind. I'll put up this tragic classical game I played a few days back. Well, normally I just take submissions from the subscribers, but maybe you'll consider becoming a subscriber, Ultra Brawler. Since we don't have many games, I'll be happy to analyze that. A guest submission. All right. Absolutely. Your fault. What, did we just get a notification? Oh, what happened? Is this right? What do you mean it's your fault? Copy PGN. That's good. Study. My studies. That's fine. I don't have many games today. And it's all good. Yeah, we know that King's Indian Defense. Can you get another name that's like shorter or something? So I don't have to say King's Indian Defense every time? Something original. Like Bob or Joe or something. You're here. You're here. Yeah, we were just going over that game. So it's over. You missed it. But I understand why your opponent resigned. I mean, he has no threats at the end. The G8 is covered. I don't understand knight takes h7, though. He was lost anyway. All right, anyway, we finished your game. I'm on to bigger and better things. Maniac. You can watch the replay. Maniac is white. Let's flip this. But I mean, honestly, Pili with the computer you can get a pretty good, with the analysis engine you get a pretty good idea what happened there. I think the opening is interesting though. Some new plausible theory, but your bishop b4 is probably something that should be played more. I never play that, for example. I don't know what happened in this game. That's the kind of game that we should go over, right? The kind of games where you don't know why you lost. Chess Farm. Hey, Chess Farm. Sorry, I can't see. I don't have my glasses. Hey, Chess Family. We're a chess family. We have animals. Polar pandas. Polar bears. Okay. E4, B6, Owen defense. Well, that's always good. B6 is really quite passive. We're very happy to see that. I think that I would play E4 every game if my opponents promised to play B6. It just doesn't put enough pressure on the center. The modern is better because you develop the king side, and the bishop on G7 is like a kind of kingside defender. Whereas the Owen defense, we're not casting queenside that often, and it doesn't do much for black's king safety. You would think they would be equivalent, but they're not. I think the modern is clearly better. With white B3, you can get away with a little bit more easily. I think that Owen defense is one of black's worst openings. You ready to be sent to that nice chest farm update? Team updates. E4, B6, D4, bishop B7. Now you play knight C3. So here you have alternatives. The main one being bishop D3. I used to always play bishop D3. And the plan is to use queen E2. But one thing that I've come to like is that because of queen E2, and you don't get pinned by bishop E4. Queen E2 is also opposite the king on E8. So if you play like bishop D3, a lot of times this is very useful. For example, your knight's not committed to C3, so you don't have these problems with getting pinned there. And if black tries anything like with C5, this is very strong. And again, this comes into play. So it's hard for black to really generate much play there. However, the interesting thing about this is if E6, you can try to play something like creative now. By creative, I would suggest maybe H4. I don't know if anyone's ever played this. Here's one game. Martinez versus Ipatov, bishop B4, and the guy messed it up. The point is to sack a pawn with knight on G to E2. Anyway, that's my own idea. If bishop E4, knight on G to E2. Bishop takes E4, A3. Bishop takes C3 check, knight takes C3. Bishop B7, queen G4 advantage to white. This is a known gambit with reverse colors, and H4 is a very useful move. So anyway, something interesting I threw out there in Blitz, but your opponent played G6 instead, so it looks like he's going to try to play a double fianchetto like Hippo or something. And this goes back to the 1800s. A game I remember looking at. The first example of someone I saw playing a double fianchetto, it was Steinitz versus somebody. Anyway, like Steinitz played this standard kind of setup with white. Now F4, bishop G7, knight F3, and then in that game, he went for like a quick F5. There was this, and I think this or something like. Steinitz versus Günzburg. It was like late 1800s. No, I mean, the question, that other line that I showed you is like, what's the best way to lose a tempo here with white? H4 is the best. You need to play knight on, you need to like induce bishop e4 and answer with knight on g to e2. So there's not a lot of moves that can do that. Maybe maybe a bishop move. The bishops aren't that useful. Let's say like bishop e3, bishop b4, and now there's no gains to knight e2. I don't know why though. It looks reasonable. Why after knight f6 can't we play f3? I had a similar game the other day. Apparently this isn't that great. Alright, anyways. Knight c3, g6. Yeah, so here at this point you have lots of options. You could go like h4. I think h4 is justified, but again, I like the Steinitz setup too. Or you can play conservatively like you did. This isn't very testing, though. So bishop g7, and now we're probably going to see a hippo set up by black. You play bishop c4, but oftentimes, you know, you're kind of going into that e6 pawn. So I feel like sometimes these bishop c4, bishop f4 type of setups are overrated. You're just putting your bishops on c4 and bishop f4, but they're just getting like rejected by the they're getting blocked by the pawns, the hippo pawns on d6 and e6. So I'm not sure, you know, in Steinitz's case, he played f4 for f5, but here you have no breaks. This is very, you know, like you can see bishop c4 is the #1 move. But what do we do after e6? That's the question. The engine likes bishop g5, but it's not a panacea. Maybe it is, actually. Well, one thing I'm wondering about is, like, if you play bishop g5 and black plays knight e7, can you play, like, e5 or something? I don't know. There's also bishop g5, queen c8. Engine doesn't like it. Apparently this is very strong for white. Not obvious to me. I guess you have some d6. So bishop g5 is apparently, like, decent. So what should black do? Not play the double fianchetto. First of all, probably. Okay, it's not a good opening for black, this. But I expect e6. Bishop g5. The problem is that if you don't react sharply here, he's just going to play h6 and you've got nothing special. So you have to play, see, like people went queen e2. What does it do after h6? What does this do? You go bishop f4, you got nothing. It's just a standard hippo. Wait, it has nothing. So either you do something decisive or you've got nothing. You have to do something decisive like this d5, which isn't that obvious to me. Also typically played as like h4. Let's see what you did. So you just played like very standard move, castles. I'll normally go rook e1 and bring my bishop back to f1. You don't have to do crazy stuff like h4 if you're not comfortable with it. Black now plays like a horrifying move, which has nothing to do with the position whatsoever, c6. That's just bad. And that makes me want to play d5 even more, but you probably have a ton of moves here. So the computer is probably going to be like that. It's going to want to do something very concrete, like push and break it open, or e5 going for this. I think you should do something decisive here. After c6, you know this is a bad move. Queen e2 might be good, but does he have d5? You're probably still clearly better. I do want to comment on the structure, though, you know. From the perspective of pawn structure, you are losing some of your advantage here. You know, and that's why maybe d5 is a better move, for one thing, or one of these is a better move. You know, something to stop him from playing d5. Both of these moves stop d5 from black. So when you go here, and he plays d5 and he calls your bluff, now if you trade this pawn for this pawn, black takes the c pawn. Unless you have some sort of tactic, he has the better pawn structure after that. Now he's still behind in development, and you might still be clearly better. Takes, and now bishop g5 is a move. I don't know that it does anything, but it asks some questions, like where do you put your queen? If bishop g5, he can also play knight e7. Maybe that's black's best move. Just developing. But you went bishop b3. Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't play bishop b3 because I don't really see his future. I mean, unless you can play like c4 somehow. Actually, this is bad too, to be honest. Bishop d3 is also kind of nothing. Like, what is it doing? Either way. Well, if you go to bishop b3, don't you allow bishop a6? By the way, okay, you have check bishop b5. You also have to be careful of that. I mean, check isn't great. It doesn't really do anything. Black could play a lot of moves. Bishop c6. If knight d7, okay, this looks quite dangerous. Obviously, the computer suggests like king f8, which is not unusual in the hippo. This is sort of a bastardized hippo. But this is the move I like the least, objectively. Not only because of bishop a6, but just like, what's it going to do there? It's stuck. It's just stuck on b3. And now black plays knight f6. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I would prefer the knight to go to e7. But he's probably looking, at this point, he's looking at maybe putting his knight on e4. So knight f6. Bishop g5. Okay. White has the inferior pawn structure. You have two smaller islands. This island is bigger and it's stronger and it's hard to break. Like, how are you going to break his pawn structure? Very, very classic modern defense pawn structure. My old friend Alexander Ivanov, he won so many games against like 2100s in the first round of open tournaments. Like, I don't know how many times he beat people with this pawn structure. But it's just very solid for black and flexible. Now black castled, and you played a waiting move here with h3. And you've got really like nothing. Knight c6. I expected knight d7. The only thing you've got here is really maybe like knight e5. Queen d2, bishop h6. Try to trade his good bishop on g7. This move, I don't know what black's planning. Knight a5, knight e7, knight f5, something like that. a3 is reasonable because of that. And now, yeah, I mean, knight a5 to come to c4, I would expect. This is going to be a problem for you along the c file. But black makes a really bad move now. Like queen d7 going into the e5 attack. You played it right away. You obviously don't have to. I mean, you could play like bishop a4, for example. Maybe threatening knight e5. But I mean, I would prefer to do something concrete, like queen e3, aiming at this bishop h6, which is constructive. The speedrunner 3 subscribed with Prime. Thank you for subscribing. First sub of the day. You know, here's an example of white making a move that looks like it's just like the first move you thought of. Like he played queen e7, so you played knight e5. It's like you're attacking for the sake of attacking, but what's the plan? I think you need to come up with a real plan, not just like making moves. As I said, trading these bishops would probably be favorable for white. But another good move is bishop a4. You could solve the problem of having that terrible piece. Yes, he'll sidestep it by making like a decent queen move. Why did he put his queen on d7? I mean, why not like c7 or something? I mean, wouldn't it make more sense to go like there? I mean, yeah, this is possible too, but that's another totally other story. It's a more natural square for the queen here than d7. But you're just like reacting with this move. And now the question is, what is the effect of this though? Is this good for you? Knight takes d4 is probably not gonna fly because of tactics, like queen d1. I suppose, right? But that's not the issue. The issue is when he takes, you have to take with the pawn, and now the pawn structure changes dramatically. And is it good for you? Do you want this? Black has knight e4. And, well, the question is evaluating this position. You probably have to take. I don't know. Maybe white is still better. But this bishop here, I call it like radioactive. All right, it's a bad bishop, but it's sort of like it has a certain power like through the pawn, you know, like nuclear radiation seeping through the wall, like a stone wall or something. So this isn't necessarily like a non-dangerous bishop. I mean, and that pawn on e4 could be disruptive as well. So you have to really evaluate that. I don't know. The engine doesn't like knight e5 because probably you had something better. The computer liked, what does it say? Rook d1. I mean, what about just like queen e3 or something? It's still going knight e4. Bishop h6. Black is a tiny bit better, I think, because of this pawn structure. That's a very subtle kind of point, but the larger pawn structure, the larger pawn island, typically gives him a little bit of an edge. There's really no break. You know, you don't have f4, f5. You don't have h4, h5. You don't have c4. You have no break against this pawn structure. And he can pressure you down this half-open file. He has more play on the half-open c file than you have on the half-open e file, for example. Typical structure. Anyway, knight e5, knight e5, d e5, and now this is really bad. He went back to e8 for no reason. So after that, now black is cramped without the connection of the rooks, and his knight has to resurface through c7. So rook d1. I would play this probably. I mean, you definitely want to keep an eye on d4. What you really want to do is like plonk the knight into e4 and that, for example. Your knight on c3 is not well placed in front of your c pawn. Hype trains start like if one person subscribes. I didn't change any settings. I don't know why it always does that. So anyway, opponent decides to put his queen on the only square his knight has. Now with queen c7. I mean, this is very awkward. No, sorry. Knight e8. Your move. Bishop a4. You had to move his queen. But even so, like, okay, he had to. Yeah, he had to. He had to play the following move because bishop c6 loses the exchange. Takes, bishop e7. Yeah, queen c8, same thing. So he had to go here, blocking his knight's only square. Now you have knight b5. Ended up being a blunder. I don't know why exactly, maybe some tactical reason, but it's the second time when it looks like you make like the first obvious move that comes along. You played knight e5 because you could, and now you played knight b5 because you could. But what does it do? You know? Oh, knight b5 just loses a pawn in e5. Did you think you're going to win the exchange? And that's good? So let's evaluate. Evaluation. Queen takes e5, queen takes e5, bishop takes e5, bishop e7. Ooh, I won the exchange. Okay. Bishop takes b2. Now rook b1. And let's just say bishop g7, bishop f8, king f8. Now, how do you evaluate this position? Black has 2 pawns for the exchange, a very good dark square bishop, and a better structure. I mean, black already had a better structure. Better king as well, heading for e7 toward the center. I like black here. I think the computer will agree. Around the half pawn. Let's see. Oh, it's a lot more. It's like winning, straight up winning. Wow. Wow, that's crazy. I thought it would only be like half a pawn. It's plus 2.6. You must be losing material. It's just much worse than I thought. The knight is trapped. Wow. It's not just down, you know, it's not just like positional advantage. It looks like your knight is actually getting trapped. That's the problem. It's, holy crap. Yeah. You could play a6 and trap that knight on b5. So this is not, you're not calculating deeply enough. Black misses it, plays queen c5. You know, assuming he saw this and then rejected it because he thought he was losing the exchange. And now another move where you're concretely trying to win this exchange, right? And you did. Oh, he misses queen c4. Okay, so why is this such a big deal? I'm not sure white should win the exchange, but say he does. Compared to the other variation, the knight is still trapped in case of like a6 or something. So let's say rook d1, giving you the knight d4. Now your bishop's trapped. Oh no. So something like this is going to happen. b5. Oh no. Oh no. So the bishop and the knight are problematic out there. Yeah. So it's all about like tactics. Understandable that both sides though, you know, miss the stuff. It's a little bit about being materialistic. Here you have knight d6. Okay, that's gonna let him escape. I mean, honestly, like this is interesting. Here takes, pawn takes, give him the exchange. This pawn on d7, d6 rather, you have compensation. So there's a lot of crazy stuff that could happen. Your move looks sensible. Bishop takes f8. Does that work? No. Yeah, I mean, well, this game was just a lot of tactics, you know, little tactics that you're not piecing together. C3 instead of what? Rook d1? I mean, I suggested rook d1, but why? Which variation do we say that rook d1 here? Or which position were we talking about rook d1? No, I mean, obviously, this is a good move in general. To give the knight a square at d4 and give the bishop retreat squares. It's a good idea in general. So like after queen c5, like here, I don't know. There might be an issue with getting pinned with bishop a6. I'm not sure. Oh, the computer wants to play rook d1. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's something to do with the knight getting pinned. But I suppose that's still possible after rook d1, right? If we're a thing, it's a thing. Let's see. b4. Well, I mean, maybe it's black's best move. No. It's not necessary. Black is apparently okay. But b4, kind of random. I mean, you're creating weaknesses here for yourself along the c file. I'm not sure what you're really getting from it. You're really focused on winning that exchange. Queen c8, bishop e7. So the whole thing about winning the exchange was sort of overrated. a6, and now you have to move your knight, it looks like. This is a good square, though. This is no. So you want to see the fifth element? So here, knight d4, very strong blockading square, killing that bishop on b7. I just think you're very focused on material, too much so. And now this is a mistake tactically because he has takes back, and now bishop g7, and he's gonna take another guy here. Position is now bishop a6 at the end. No, you have b5. So bishop h6. He's setting up bishop a6 now. Yeah, but okay, he has queen g2. Play along the c file, but okay, you're up the exchange now. So black did something wrong. After bishop takes f8, he has to play king takes f8. And then on knight d4, he has something with this guy, maybe. Let's see. Is that his best? Yeah, he's got nothing better than that. a6 wasn't the best move for black. Yeah, he missed his queen c4. We talked about that. I mean, that's not easy to find, though. You know, it's an active exchange sack based on these pieces getting trapped over there. He thought his move was better because he avoids, well, actually, he doesn't avoid losing the exchange. It doesn't really matter. I mean, he can't prevent bishop e7. I mean, I guess it's a logical assumption that you don't want to trade queens when you're going to lose material. But he would have at least opened up his bishop on the long diagonal. Now you're clearly better. Now you should be winning, but be aware of bishop a6. You can't get in there. So I'm not sure what you should play here. You know, this is a position where it looks like b5 should be considered. You can stop that whole bishop a6 thing in one concrete move. You would also break up his diagonal, you know, his battery on the diagonal. I mean, this has to be seriously considered. You're putting your pawn on the opposite color of your bishop. You're stopping bishop a6 forever. You can support that pawn with like rook b1. I would think like it would be a very logical move. Black's lost because this knight is so bad. You know, if his knight was on some great square, like maybe f5, he'd have some compensation. I don't know, but this is... He's down the exchange, and he has terrible pieces, at least at the moment. I don't know about this. I guess you tie him down, and you stop d4. What about queen takes c2? It's not an issue. He takes that. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't give him a free pawn, necessarily. Again, I still like probably b5. You have no entry points on the file, or do you? Oh my god. So you have this rook c7. Holy shit. So if he makes a normal move here, actually he has the normal move, ironically. Black has no normal move in this position. Probably queen b2. Instead, he played queen f5. He traded queens, and he takes with the e pawn. Instinct here, I think, is take toward the center. Black has you know, he's probably concerned about this, but I guess you could possibly play like f6, check, king f7, and sort of survive. It looks like this doesn't help his pawn structure any. I think you're winning. It's just a technical win. And now you don't have a chance to get in there. Maybe you missed your window. I mean, definitely take the knight. If nothing else, you can take the knight. You're probably winning. Now there's no entry. He also has d4. He just keeps missing these moves. So d4, and that's awkward. Now all bets are off. I mean, g2's hanging, your bishop's attacked. Well, this is very careless, you know. I mean, the first thing is like take his freaking knight, you know. This is probably an easy win. He has a terrible bishop. You're probably winning easily in this position. Rook c7, bishop a6. You're going to double on the 7th. You can go behind this pawn. Let's see, this. Also possible to play b5 again. If d4, you can go after that guy. It's tricky. Okay, it's tricky. Okay, this isn't easy, but I think you are winning. +4. But you should have taken the knight here. And now things are not too clear anymore after f4. We are seriously concerned. You could even be worse or losing. Maybe you're like losing now. He has d3 check. He's going to win the exchange with bishop e4 check, d3, bishop e4. He actually misses this, although I'm not sure that's his best move. Maybe he's better off doing what he did with bishop takes g2 check, bishop takes g2. It's really close. They're both good. But that's how you lost. You know, you're not calculating enough. I mean, I don't know how your time is here. Black gets greedy. A lot of materialism in this game. Now the bishop's trapped. Oh my god. He has d3 check again. What can you do about it? There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, I don't know what you're supposed to play here. Oh, bishop h6 check. How does that help you? You can double. Oh my god. Check here and then double on the c file. That's an unbelievable miracle. Now you're like almost winning. I missed it too. It was incidental. Bishop h6 check. Oh, now you're losing. So you could just take on f3 or play bishop f1 check, bishop c4. It's clearly better. Black has 4 pawns on the king side. It's not good. Okay. This looks lost. So you're losing a piece. Yeah, that was messy, man. A lot of tactical mistakes. You know, I don't know how fast the time control was, but it felt like to me that both sides making tons of tactical mistakes. All right, so what is this other game we got? This is Ultra Brawler. Ultra Brawler. Ultra Brawler, what color are you? I know the King's Indian Defense sent me a game. What was that? Mr. Rollinson. Thanks, man. Here, wait, lost on time. Is this PGN gonna work with that asterisk in there? Well, maybe I'll just FM versus me. We'll just go here. We'll grab that much of the PGN. Copy. Thanks for 500 bits. It's a sloppy game. I mean, it's hard to analyze. There's a lot going on there in your game. Add a new chapter. And this is in black. All right, anyway. So first, I thought Ultra Brawler. Roll into the new stream boss. You're black. I would never stoop so low as to play London. Good for you. So, although, you know, I feel like the London is a little more justified against D4, D5. I don't even think it should have the same name. I mean, when black plays knight f6 and white plays bishop f4 and you play d6, you're like shutting it down. But I mean, when you play d5, okay, at least this is like an open diagonal here, where the bishop can't be completely blotted out. This should be like accelerated London or something. Yeah, okay, that's what it's called. All right, so accelerated London. We'll justify it again by the diagonal. I agree. I don't like London. It's very boring. Now you played knight f6, white played e3, you played c5. c5 is black's theoretically best move here. You don't know if the opponent intends to play a proper London or the Yobava London / Verisov. So this is a problem that we all face if you use this move order. Opponent may or may not decide to play knight c3. Yeah, you have to be faithful to your opening repertoire. So c5 and knight f3. Well, anyway, if knight c3, it's a different animal. And there are many things you could do there. But white plays knight f3. And now that's more like a normal London, where they could still play knight c3 technically. But most of the Jabava London people are gonna do knight c3 right away there. I mean, that's a very standard position. I think it's unlikely he's gonna play knight c3. Here, I really don't like these lines where we're going like queen b6, unless white plays some kind of very passive move, like to justify it. For example, c3. People like to play queen b6. I think it's difficult to play those types of lines. So e6 is standard, knight c6 is standard. This is a main line. And now white takes. And I know this was trendy for a little while. I don't know if it still is. We can see the opening explorer. D takes c5 is white's 5th most popular move. White has a marginally plus score. I mean, I may be getting my positions confused, but if d takes c5, we're going to go, what, e6, and then just recoup the pawn. It's like a Slav in reverse. That's what happened in the game. White's number one move here is knight on bd2. And sometimes they play bishop b5 as well. I mean, I'm not an authority on the London. And I don't normally play this way with black, but I have. So anyway, he takes, you played e6. And the only other move I would consider here for black, honestly, would be bishop g4. What's the deal with bishop g4? I mean, how bad could it be if we were to play bishop g4? I mean, I'm approaching this kind of like a queen pawn player. You're black here. Just wondering about this move. It's been played by reasonable people. What is white's answer? Bishop b5, apparently. This is critical. Bishop b5. Sedlak, who wrote a book on it. All right, anyway. From the looks of it, you played correctly. So e6, and now what? White's going to try to hang on to the pawn with b4. The thing is with that doesn't really work right. When your bishop's out here on f4, it's not like a semi-Slav where the bishop goes to b2. So if b4, you're just taking it. So we see stuff like bishop b5. Bishop b5 is nothing. c4. c4. White is like 1-1 game out of 35. I mean, to be honest, like in a vacuum, the normal move is knight on bd2. What's the attraction to this move for white? Like d takes e5. I mean, why is giving up one center on d4, like, how does that benefit white? I don't really understand how that benefits white. I mean, we see it in the Slav rather. But that's like because black has to, not because he wants to. So e6, and now it's like, okay, how does white like justify giving up his strong point on d4? I don't know. Knight on bd2, it's like BFD. Really? White has an even score after knight on bd2. Bishop b2 is nothing. a3 is like a pre-A attack. So basically white has no advantage, essentially. So that's the bottom line. White has 0 advantage after d takes c5, and he probably has like 0.1 without playing d takes c5. All right. So now he plays a weird move, knight c3. A sort of Jabava-Veresov deferred, threatening, the good old like knight b5, right? The problem is, how big a threat is that actually? So if you play bishop takes c5, white plays knight b5, and you just castle, what is it, a draw of a repetition? I mean, like, does he have knight c7, rook b8, knight b5, rook a8, knight c7, rook b8? Is that the deal? It's a draw? On the other hand, there are many variations where in this type of scenario, maybe you could actually like sacrifice the exchange or something, but I don't know if that's gonna fly. You don't even have like a pawn for it. Only 2 games of this actually happened, and this is exactly what happened. Oh, so you let him come into d6. Huh, fascinating. So bishop takes c5, knight b5. And then what I'm wondering is, do you have tricks of any kind, like tactics with e5, first of all? There's nothing there. So I would expect castles for you to be the best move. And this guy, there's a guy here, Yurchik. I don't know if that's an even over the board player or I have no idea if that's an over the board player or a correspondence game. But castles, knight c7, rook b8. What is this, a draw? Black is better, apparently. Why is black better, though? Because you have a better move here. Rook a8. So on knight c7, you have this trick. This guy, Yurchik, he got at e5. This is the point. Aha. So that's our little trick. That wins material. You'll trap the knight on a8. I didn't see that. I assumed it was like a draw, but okay. A strong player is going to find this, and you win. Because after knight takes a8, pawn takes f4, the knight's got not getting out, and you get 2 pieces for a rook. Got to assume That's not a correspondence game. Anyways, so you didn't find it. Instead, you played, bishop b6, guarding this but allowing your king to be disrupted. So now this knight is going to be able to take the bishop or get out. But the first question is, you made a mistake, but I mean, should you put the king on e7 or f8? We don't have to panic. Chess is a struggle. My preference would be to go to e7. But I'm not sure. There could be more complications, like if king e7, he goes back, and now he's starting stuff like bishop d6. Okay, you're probably fine. I mean, I don't know. But I think in general, this is like the more ambitious move, because you're going to hope that somehow you get your rook out and then go back with the king. King f8 is safe. Oh, he's flirting with this. I see. So it ends up looking like knight g5. This is also important. You have rook f8 here. For example. So it looks like king f8 might be a mistake. Knight g5. Although I'm not certain. No, here's another situation where maybe you have some sort of e5. You ended up playing bishop a5 check, which looks rather awkward. I don't really know what it does. I mean, what's going to play c3? What I'm most interested in is something based on like e5. And hopefully we pick up like 2 pieces for a rook somehow. How exactly does this shake out? His knight's hanging. So he's got to take something, right? Knight takes f7, queen e7. Knight takes h8, and now, you start taking stuff, like the bishop on f4. Now this is hanging. He's got to take there. The point is, like, his knight is going to get trapped on h8. We'll have another one of those situations where, white is losing 2 pieces for a rook. I'm gonna guess that this might actually work out for black. E5 is the best move. Now, it turns out that your move is okay, and you did basically kind of the same thing. But I don't know that, like, this helps you in any way. Objectively, I mean, it seems like it kind of helps white. I mean, c3 is a constructive move, controlling the center, gives his queen some squares. I don't really see what, like, bishop a5 check actually does, It may not hurt you, but it doesn't really help you either. So I think you just directly do e5. Check, c3, and now, this was your idea, I guess, but it doesn't seem right. Queen b6, so now all bets are off. Now he has like b4 when you're gonna sack a piece, and it's like total insanity. Of course, white doesn't have to do that, and maybe he doesn't because he's not crazy, but what if his king like walks away up here? This is totally insane. Like, say b4. I have no idea what's going on. Knight takes. It's very unclear. He might even have like rook b1 or something. I don't know what is going on here. You're asking for trouble, though. I don't think you should have done that. The engine is going to be like e5. This was the main defensive resource for you, and bishop a5 check is just kind of side thing that doesn't matter much, ultimately. But queen b6 is weird, and I think that white was actually kind of safe, smart / sensible not to play b4, because that looks crazy to me. What is the evaluation of b4, by the way? Total insanity after b4. You actually are better off playing e5. So this is one point of queen b6 that your queen won't be attacked by knight takes f7. But, I mean, this is just crazy. But I think he's smart not to play b4. He just makes a sensible move. Now defending b2. You played e5. Okay, we get to the critical kind of position. Now you should take on f4. I mean, you know, you need to go get some psychiatric help. You played bishop f5 here. That's insane. I mean, it's really out of control. You know, bishop f5. Wow. Maybe it's a good move. I mean, that looks like ridiculously complicated. I mean, I can't calculate this far, but why not just take? Keep it simple, you know? I think just keep it simple. I mean, your bishop's going to get trapped on a5. Is that the problem? On takes, I mean, you would have something king h8, wouldn't you? Everything's fine. For me, this is a bit much. I mean, I don't know the time control. But I'm getting confused, you know? You're putting a whole bishop out there for like fodder. Fodder time. I get it. You have queen takes b2. It's pretty cool. This is too much for me. So he plays queen d2. And now you take on f4. Takes on h8. Take on e3. Takes on e3. And now d4. Looks like black's just winning. But again, d4 is over the top. I would expect some kind of like regular move here, like rook e8. What does the engine say? Yeah, rook e8 is normal. So this is like your second really insane move. That's like, wow, are we playing correspondence chess or what here? This is brutal. Looks like you don't need anyone to analyze this game. You've got it under control. It's like a brutally good game by black. It's a slaughter. Slaughterhouse 5. Yeah, it's over. So this is just a massacre. I mean, I don't understand what's going on here, okay? You're telling me this guy's still alive now? You're gonna do queen h5 or something? That's just insane. You're gonna tell me this game is gonna get close to equal now? Oh my god. So I mean, basically, like the impression I have is that black is completely winning. You're just completely winning. You have a tendency to be too fancy instead of keeping it simple. But this is interesting position here. I don't know exactly what to play. Looks like you should be winning, but if you're in time pressure, it might be hard. And what's the material? You're still down the exchange with an overwhelming initiative. But you played rook d8, you played queen takes f5, and it feels like you should have had something better at this point. Let me check with the computer. It's not so easy. You have only one winning move here. It's a very quiet move, g6. But I don't like letting him take that bishop on f5. You know, like, so something went wrong before this. Here. You're destroying him like 6 ways from Sunday. And then he gets out of this, you know, at this point. At this point, we let it slip. I mean, you're just totally crushing white here. But you need to put him away. I guess he has rook d1. If rook d8, rook d1. Although you could play rook d8 right away. Knight d3 check was okay. Knight f4 was okay. And now e2 was a mistake. E2 was a mistake, but why is this so big deal? Queen b5, why not c4? There's a very subtle continuation here. This isn't so easy, but let's see what happens. Okay. You're still killing him. Oh, this is a neat move. Hard to find. Yeah, g6 is a very hard move to find. So you ended up playing a line that's like better for white. And then he makes a mistake. And it's a draw after that. This is funny in this. So this is... I assume this is like equal. But you're actually losing a piece. Check, king e7. Rook f5. What is this time? Check, king e8. No, but why king e8? Why not king e7? You're only down a pawn here. Oh, I see your bishop's attacked by rook f5. I didn't realize you were losing a piece there. Wow, I mean, I can't believe you, like, lost. This is ridiculous. You had a lot of winning moves. You kind of lost your way. It's an overwhelming position. Here. Yeah, this is crazy, though. You have one winning move in this position. I don't know where to like, tell you to improve your play. I mean, these moves are very subtle, like queen a6. But my advice would be, like, don't overcomplicate, you know? I mean, this is so simple, rook e8. I mean, why play d4? My only takeaway for you is really, like, sometimes you go a little too far. Bishop a5 was also kind of going too far. You're human, you know, I assume. So don't go beyond your capacity to calculate. I mean, I can't even figure out what's going on, you know, without spending 5 minutes here. I mean, it's... But the other move that was surprising was bishop f5. I mean, it looks like it's a good move, but it's like, it's super fancy. Black to play bishop f5. Yeah, he had bishop d3, actually. I wasn't sure about that because of e4, but now his bishop's not attacked. Yeah, bishop f5 was too fancy. No more fancy, don't play these fancy moves, just take. But the other thing in the opening was, okay, we talked about bishop a5 check, but I don't know why you played... King e7 is a tough call, by the way. That's another interesting move. But yeah, in general, you should know to do this. Castle. Bishop c7 is nothing. And knight c7. I mean, I guess you're probably afraid it's a draw by repetition. Worst case scenario with black, that's okay. All right. Interesting London. For London, it wasn't bad. Then I've got a game from... Who is this? Is this our game from Kid? Kid Rock? All right. Thanks, Ultra Brawler. That was kind of an interesting game. No, there's a lot of crazy moves that you're winning there, and I don't think it matters. Like, you should have seen this, you should have seen that, seen this. You got to be practical as a human being. Some people are more tactically oriented than others, but I think once you get a winning position, you know, stop complicating. I mean, that's it. You know, you can only win the game once, and you can only get 1 point. You can't get, like, multiple points for, like, brilliancies and stuff. I mean, try to be practical. Once you feel like you're winning, just don't make more complications. There's no prizes for winning extra complicated positions. Bishop f5 was already, like, a little too much for me. This was from an open. Okay. So the Slav. Does anybody have any grass I can grow? All right, so I hate playing against the Slav. It's very solid. Knight c3, and now you played e6. And now white plays an interesting move. Okay, queen d3. Much more common to see queen b3. than queen d3. And, well, there are a couple reasons for that. But it reminds me of the Grunfeld Russian systems. Now, so queen d3, check it out. Interesting statistic. One of white's best winning percentages, the move queen d3 in this position. I can't say I've ever played this or looked at it, but I mean this I have seen a lot. And so, if queen b3, black normally takes and plays, b5, and we get probably the same position. One thing I would think about though, like with queen d3, okay, the queen is like interfering with the bishop. White's probably going to play g3 in a lot of cases, or just, it also supports e4. I mean, that's the point. Like, unlike queen b3, queen b3 doesn't really threaten anything. It's not like he's threatening to play e4. It's not controlling the center. With queen e3, white is actually, quote unquote, supporting e4, although I don't know that it's a big deal even if he gets it in. I'm not sure we should automatically react the same way against queen d3 that we react against queen b3. I mean, one idea is to play against the queen by, say, playing your bishop for a6. You can see here the best score. Coincidence? I have no experience in this position, but I'm immediately attracted to try to take advantage of that. I mean, I know this from the Caro-Kann. I guess there's some fantasy variation in the Caro-Kann where something like this happens, but bishop a6, the idea of attacking the queen on d3. So I'm drawn to b6. This is also maybe in some weird other openings, some kind of strange Nimzo positions, I don't know. So I would think that this is a good idea. And, you also have options to simply go bishop b7, maybe a5, bishop a6, with the bishop behind the a pawn. It's like a Catalan type of setup for black. Now, having said that, I think you could play almost anything in this position. You're basically playing the Kali system. You're playing a semi-Tarrasch. If you play like knight on bd7, it's just a standard Kali system. If he wants to play e4, he'll play e4. Fine, whatever, But is white that much better here? I don't know. So, it's an obscure variation. You play bishop e4 like a Nimzo. Reminding me even more of the Caro-Kann. But check this out. Almost no games with bishop e4. Well, what's the point? You're preventing white, you're developing a piece, and you're preventing white from playing e4. But you've got all of your pawns on the wrong color if you want to play a Nimzo, right? So your dark square bishop is a very important piece. It's the guardian of the dark squares, and you have a lot of weaknesses on the dark squares. So in a way, like bishop e4, you're kind of like obviously bluffing, You prevent e4, but you don't really want to give up your dark square bishop. So that's why everyone here played a3. They're like, you're bluffing. Everyone except for your opponent. Crazy Timur Gariev. Some guy lost to Sveshnikov back in 2013. And that's about it, a couple random games. White calls black's bluff with a3. Do you really want to give up your dark square bishop? And in all cases, black said, yeah, I'm going to give it up. Bishop takes c3 check. Everyone took with the queen. And now it's a Nimzo where black's put all the pawns on light squares. So I'm not a big fan of knight e4. It doesn't look very constructive to me. I would think that black should play like b6 and once again here addressing our worst piece scenario, I would think we would play b6 and do something about this. Let's see what the computer says. After a3, bishop takes, queen takes. b6 is top 4. Now, note that here's a funny statistic. 4 out of 6 players played knight e4 here. All right. It's not a good stonewall Dutch for black. I think that should be apparent. So it's better to play castles or knight on bd7 and play for b6. Anyways, so we're getting the point. Like, this isn't a good move. a3 looks right. I don't know if you could try anything else. You know, like takes, queen takes, bishop back, something like that. Maybe it's not that bad. I mean, he's got the free move a3, but it's not a total disaster. For example, e4, b5. a3 kind of useful though. It slows down b4. Anyway, so white plays g3. It's a reasonable move, but he's not really. He's not calling your bluff. He's not testing, you know. He's not testing move bishop b4. He's not taking advantage of the move bishop b4. So if you take now, another kind of crazy move here is c5. I'm just, because the queen is kind of slow, I'm wondering if this is something worth considering at some point for black. I don't really see a great way of protecting the bishop on b4. Say I take on c4 and you take. I don't really have a good way to protect that. Are you going to play something weird like queen a5? That doesn't look good. Queen e7, that's sort of stupid. Going back is passive. But maybe it's okay. You know, it's looking like a Catalan. But I don't know why you should give up your center. So you castle, he plays bishop g2. And now you did knight e4. You're going down the Stonewall Dutch, you know, path. But I don't like it. I mean, it seems like you should play b6 here. b6 looks good. I don't understand. Is there a problem like knight e5? I mean, I guess this would be to continue in Catalan style, right? But you have the obvious plan now. And I don't know. No, this is a pretty complicated kind of scenario. Like, what exactly is going on here? Queen e8, triple exclam. So b6 is the best move. Engine doesn't hate your 94 though. I don't really like it. I got to admit. I mean, it's like kind of like, well, what kind of Stonewall Dutch is this that we're playing? You're not improving your position really. This takes care of your one problem, your bad bishop on c8. What does knight e4 do? You know, you're just gonna play a Stonewall Dutch with your bishop on b4. Romanishin has a game from 1998. Fine, but I mean, if you're playing a Stonewall Dutch, your bishop would be on like d6 or e7, not on b4. So you play knight e4, he just castles, of course. And now Romanishin's opponent here gave up his bishop for nothing with bishop takes c3. I mean, I'm sorry, dude, but I'm not in love with this either. Hopefully black does follow up with b6. Takes, and b6, yeah. And he's going to go bishop a6. Oleg plays bishop a3, rook e8, queen c2, sidestepping the pin, bishop a6, and now knight e5. White is better. This is interesting. f6, cd5, ed5. I was expecting cd5. So actually, this is where Romanishin's opponent went wrong. If he had played c takes d5, he was equal. He took the wrong way with this pawn. Because this way he would have had play along this line here. It's interesting. But I don't like black's decision to play bishop takes c3 there. So, okay, so you played f5, and now we transpose to the bad stone walls. White is 2-0 here. You just like randomly put your bishop on b4 for no reason. So one player, Magnus Carlsen's buddy, Agda Stein, and another player, German Grandmaster Predke. So both very strong players with white here, both won. One player played a3, which is kind of strange. I would assume bishop f4 is good. Not a huge fan of a3. And bishop f4 looks very strong. Black did play b6. Agda Stein, 1989, 2600. 95. And again, another guy who goes bishop takes c3, b takes c, bishop a6, very, very familiar. Almost identical to the Romanician game. Now black pulls his knight off of e4, but we don't know why. Anyway, white is better. You played f5, white plays 95. That's a new move. And now you play 97. And I think this is a good move by you. And it cast out on 95. Plonking that knight into e5 just to trade it off, that's not an accomplishment for white. So what did he achieve? Nothing. Versus Agda Stein, who played like bishop f4 and like developed a piece. I'm also not a fan of a3 by Predke because the bishop on b4 is stupid anyway. Why are we just playing a3? Now the game goes back into kind of a normal stone wall after bishop d6 or bishop e7. a3 seems like a very lazy move. So bishop f4 is probably best. Okay, what else? So here, good move, 97. Maybe bishop f4. I don't know. Maybe he should trade on his terms rather than trade on your terms. If you play bishop f4, you could try stuff like g5, but it's like some risk involved with that. Knight takes d7, and he sticks his bishop on e5. Seems like he's trading on your terms here. Takes, bishop takes, f3, okay. And now you play knight d6. Generally speaking, we have less space. We should probably trade pieces. But if your alternative is this, fixing his pawns so they come toward the center, it's a good question. There's this file. I don't know. But in general, I don't feel super comfortable here. Bishop f4 looks like it's coming in. A lot of times, Stonewall players go knight g5, back to f7. You're a Slav player, not a Stonewall Dutch player, so what is that notification I've got? Move 11. Oh, move 11. Can you submit it later? I'll let it slide for 110 months, but maybe one. There he is, subscribed. Wait, what? You subscribed again? Oh, you gifted a tier 1 sub. Thank you, Carnicero. We'll let it slide. So, thanks, Move 11, for gifting a sub to Carnicero, 79. This is what you typically see from Stonewall Dutch guys. Knight g5, knight f7. Because like these moves like f4 and h4 are kind of weak. The knight in f7 is sort of useful. In general, though, in a blitz game, I play knight takes c3 and just, hang out or something. White's a little better, but how bad is it? I don't know. It looks like black is okay. Probably. A lot of pieces have been traded. This is awkward, though. You're putting pressure on c4, kind of forcing white to decide what to do there. What about c5? I'm going to go back to f7. What about your bishop? It's going to go back here, go back to here. If you get an e5 first, maybe you can make this work. So he doesn't take. He keeps the tension with b3. That's probably a good move. Now you took on c4. Alert. Whoa. Never take on c4 in the Stonewall Dutch. Rule number 1 of Stonewall Dutch. Your whole wall is based on this pawn. Do not trade off Stonewall Dutch pawn on d5. This is your strong point. I don't really get it, why we want to do this. So your idea was to change the structure somehow, to try to target this pawn on c4. I mean, you also have weaknesses here too. I'm not sure this is terrible, but you're going down a very strange path. On the other hand, your knight is awkward, so I guess your alternative is what? Like bishop e8 or something? You could keep the tension here. Maybe this is the natural move to play. Bishop e8, you go there. No, that's a classic idea. Steinitz and Botvinnik played like this. Bishop d7, bishop g6, bishop h5. If, for example, they try to play e4, boom, 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 you're going to go here. Fundamentally, I don't like this move. You're making a major concession. Now let's see if you can get anything for it. Here, c5. Okay, so you fix this pawn here. White has this 4-on-3 central majority now, which on paper looks good, but maybe this pawn here. You're turning the Stonewall Dutch into a Nimzo now. First it was a Slav, then it was Stonewall Dutch, now it's an Nimzo. What about d5 for white? This position is very tricky. I don't know what white should do. Bishop f4. So white ended up playing a very kind of lazy concrete move, a3. And if you go to c5, or rather a5, he just takes the pawn on c5. If you trade your bishop off, what have you got for it? Well, I mean, all hell breaking loose here, right? You get what you pay for. I mean, you gave up your center for what? Take, c5. Show me what you got for it. I like bishop f4, but maybe it's not that clear. Bishop c6 or something. So a3, forcing move, and if you go bishop a5, he takes. Looks good for him, I guess. So you have to take, and now you have no dark square bishop. You have no dark squares at all. The only thing you have is some hope to like kill this pawn on c4. But you have to be very, very careful about this and the dark squares in general. Rook c8. Rook d1. I guess that's a quite reasonable move. And now a shocking turn of events. Wow. So he's going to regret rook d1, it looks like. First of all, I think that white needs to be like, bro, I have a huge dark square bishop. Honestly, maybe he needs to look at this move. So say he loses the pawn on c4, just theoretically. Look at your position. I mean, it's kind of a mess. You have this pawn on f5, dark square holes here. The knight is unprotected. Your a7 pawn is unprotected. You have a lot of dark square weaknesses across the board. Even if he loses the pawn on c4, For example, just hypothetically, let's say like queen d4. Attacking your rook, attacking your knight, x-raying a7. What do? You have to play rook c6 or something awkward like queen c7, queen b6. Rook c6, yeah, this is better for white. So, I mean, the point is, like, don't take on c4 in the stone wall, but whatever. Okay, you got lucky here because he played rook d1, and this looks like a good move for you. When it subtly feels a little like a French. I think he missed bishop a4. And then suddenly there are Kasparovian tactics floating around, like b5. I'm a little worried about b5 for white, for example. Is that playable? It's a move, but it's not the best move. Well, I mean, forcing moves like that. So you took. He's going to take with a rook. And then you have, what, e5? I thought you would play e5. But here you had another tactic. So white has rook bishop e3 at the end. He plays queen e3. What happens if he plays bishop e3? Oh, you have knight b5. You're setting him up with that. So that's why he played queen e3. Uh-huh. So this is kind of cute. Knight b5. Winning the exchange. So he has to go here. And it's all about tactics. e6 is hanging, but you have knight takes e4. So you basically outplayed the guy on a tactical level. But strategically, it was all very, very dubious. Now you're suddenly just a clear pawn up with a better position. Queen f2, e5, no compensation. Strong knight, good outposted bishop on a4. Your dark squares are now controlled. It's like perfect. It's just a miracle. Everything worked out. Check. King takes down. He has drawing chances in this ending. Two bishops. The bishop on g2 isn't much, but it could creep out into the game. So this is not a guaranteed win for black. Bishop c6 now. It seems like a strange move to me. I'd like your bishop. I mean, I don't know what you're afraid of, but first of all, getting a king in the center. White doesn't really have any threats. I mean, what's he going to do? Maybe g4, f4, e4. I don't know. You know, king centralization or rook d8. Seems like. This is a bit of a surprising move. Feels very reactionary. And now immediately rook c5. This didn't really help you. Here, takes. Now, again, he's hanging on. So what was the result now? You took a draw here. Clearly better. But I think bishop c6 is suspicious. White lost on time. Oh my god. Bishop c6. I don't know why is this bad? Rook d8, bishop h3. Interesting. Rook d8, bishop h3, g6, and then e4. And white's sort of hanging on. White lost on time. This is the entrance number 1 move. Yeah, and white should be fighting this game for 60 moves. I would kill, like, one of my students. Move 11, for example, if he resigned in this position or lost on time. Speedrunner 3. Gotta send the game in now. I mean, I'm not going to be taking any more submissions, too. Alright, send me the game now, because this is the last one. Okay, move 11. Oh, an old move 11 game. Looks familiar. Thanks, Poulet, for not suggesting what is that? That's not a whole game. Why doesn't it show the whole game? What is that? An end game for stream analysis. It's an end game. Oh no. Do I have to do FEN? If I put this in, is it gonna pick up the position from the right place? Move 11 has to do things the hard way. Oh my god, bro. Will this put this in with the FEN? Alright, good. Okay. And Speedrunner. Last game. I'm getting tired. Alright. So I was getting lazy. Yeah, but that end game that the guy lost on time against you, I mean, he should survive another 50 moves there with good chances to hold the draw. That's crazy to like lose on time. I mean, he's down a pawn. He did a move 11. All right. He's not an optimist. King's Indian Defense's opponent there. Okay, so Speedrunner semi-game. There it is. All right. That'll be next. First, I'm going to look at this. Okay. Copy raw PGN. Study. Hello. Studies. Welcome, everybody. We're all business here. No frills or fancy stuff. Just analyzing chess games. Tomorrow I'm gonna try to play some Blitz games in the afternoon around 1. If anybody is around, we'll do a short Blitz stream, like 1 and 3 p.m. Central European summertime. And then Sunday we have a simul. So this is a, let's see, Smyslov tile game. Let's do Smyslov. Was this World Championship match or something? I mean, interesting position. Smyslov getting Talon like an end game. It could have been a match. It could have been like a Soviet Championship. There's a lot of places. Smyslov and Tal probably played a shitload of games against each other. Soviet final 19. Oh. I remember it well. 37. The 37th Soviet Championship? I'm not sure what year that was, but most likely in the late 50s. Oh, really? Much later, 69. 6-7. All right. So that's a late one, 69. All right, so here, I'm not surprised, man. I mean, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, bishops are better than knights. And they are, but I mean, this is a huge structural... A very, very strong structural plan. You know, objectively, though, I feel like Smyslov has to do it. You know, if he doesn't do it, he has nothing. I mean, I think that's really the moral of the story here. You could be like, wow, this is a brilliant move by Smyslov. He gives up his bishop for the knight, smashes the pawns. But if you don't, you have 0, right? I mean, the position is totally equal. His knight's on h4. This isn't like a brilliancy. It's the only move to play for a win. No. Anything else is routine. What's he gonna do? Rook d2? I mean, he's got nothing. It's a freaking draw. This is the only attempt to win. And now Black objectively Now I could lose to like somebody here with white for sure, but objectively black, is the only one with like serious losing chances. Now computer probably ain't gonna lose. Tal must have trusted his position to allow this. I don't know the exact. It'd be nice to see the circumstances of how this came about. But watch what happens now. B takes C. So black has stuff like A5, A4. That's very concerning if I'm white. I mean, obviously C4 is a thing as well. White could play C4, but again, A5, A4 for black. I don't think that white is like winning here. But Tal wants to liquidate these weak pawns if he can. And stay active and keep his chances alive. Svislov now plays knight f3. And the thing about knight f3, it looks like, well, the main thing about it is this. See, this is a very strong move because knight e5 attacks c6, plus he also has ideas of knight g5, knight e4, and then finally, among other things, probably knight e5, knight d3. So Tal immediately plays f6, preventing knight e5. But, I'm not sure what a computer would do here. I mean, knight e5 is the problem. So if we play like a5, white goes knight e5, what do we do about this? Do we just let it go? For example, like a4, knight d6, here, sack a pawn. That's probably not enough, right? Let's check with the engine. It's almost enough. Look at that. 0.3. So this is the kind of stuff you have to judge. Like, should I defend passively or should I just let it go? This is basically Smislav's only threat to play knight e5. If Tal plays a5, what's he going to do? He's got to play knight e5. Then, does Smislav defend the pawn? Maybe just defend the pawn with rook c8. Okay, momentarily passive, but we can do it. And now black's threatening a4. Knight d3 can be met by c4. I feel like black's okay. So maybe Tal's move f6 is a bad move. Or maybe there's another threat we're missing. Let's say a5, knight g5 with the idea of knight e4. Maybe knight g5. Black has a lot of choices here. I mean, even bishop f5 doesn't look clear to me. Black is fine. So my first comment here would be that, like, I'm not sure f6 is necessary. It's not a bad move. It also gives us a king, a square, but maybe it's a little too relaxed. Let's see what the engine would have done. Oh, no. Slad G1, Tal 0. Okay. So that's fine. He'll get some moves too. It's actually really close. A5 is the #1 move. And then f6 is #3, but they're all very close. A5 was best, and sacking the pawn. A5, knight e5, and now it's a close call between a4 and it likes a4. Giving the pawn up on c6. Holy shit. No, but then we're just dropping the pawn on. Yeah, you can't do that. But you can. c4. Yeah. So it's interesting, move 11. Okay. So Tal plays f6, hesitates, knight d2, and now rook fd8. He's going to let this knight get to c5? I don't know if that's a good idea, man. I think that Tal, he wasn't having a good day. Rook fd8. I mean, losing the pawn is one thing, but allowing this knight to have this like terrific outpost on c5 is another. Tal plays c4, and now knight c5. So that's a problem. Tal decides he can live with the knight on c5. Okay. Now f3, and the king's going to come up. The knight on c5 is secure. Black plays bishop c2. Check, check, takes. King f2. Rook down doesn't do anything. We have king e3. And now b4. I don't think that Tal is happy about this, honestly. Because the pawns are like fixed now. He's drifting. And then e5, just a kind of normal move. Is White going to trade off the rook with rook d1? Black's king is coming over. What about like rook a8? Knight b7, surprising move. And now he targets, what, these two pawns? He got terrorized by this knight. Black now plays c5. And this is very surprising. The first rule of this endgame, you know, is like don't let your pawns get stuck on white squares. I mean, as I said earlier, the best thing to do would have been just play a5. This should not have been lost. He's just sort of drifted. And suddenly, you know, he's like trying something desperate. Knight b7. Now there's knight d6 check. Is Black lost? Knight versus bishop endgame. On the plus side, White has a number of pawns on light squares which can be targeted. The double pawns don't look that dangerous. So is Black definitely lost here? I'm not 100% sure. King d7. Now, I expected knight a5 to keep the king off of c6. Then the knight is like stuck out there forever. So he doesn't. He plays this. And suddenly knight e4 is a threat to attack the f6 pawn. So if you go king c6 for Black, White has knight e4. The pawn's not going anywhere, apparently, so Tal figures he's still okay. He plays h6, controlling the g5 square, putting his pawns on dark squares. King f2, no big deal. Okay, now king c6, king e3. And now Tal plays a5. Because king takes c5, knight e4 check. What about, like, bishop d5? There's this. Knight e8, f5, and then takes, and f4. And it doesn't look great for Black because these pawns are fixed on light squares. And the dark squares are weak. Yeah, it seems kind of mysterious how Tal lost this game, but it felt like he had no plan. And trading rooks didn't help him. You know, rook and bishop is a good combo. Smyslov was happy to trade the rooks. This is what happened, f5. And now you could trade, but he just goes knight g7. f4 check, king e4. That's a win. So f4 check doesn't do anything. He has to play bishop d7, take, and then f4, obviously. And it's over. King d5. And then a cute move. c6. Overloading. Bishop c8, c7. king d6, h4, and black is in like 6-1. Okay, nothing special, you know, but Tal should have held this game. He should have found the right plan like right away. I mean, it seems like bishop takes, b takes. At this point, we should know that black is okay here, but you know, this is necessary to play a5. All right, so then finally, speed runner. Roadrunner, speedrunner, what color are you here? Azure Pirate. Sometimes the fun happens when they're on time. You're black? Okay. So it's a Queen's Gambit Tartakover. This is a weird order of moves, though. You know, like Bishop G5. I've played that from time to time. People play this move specifically to avoid... Usually, it's to avoid the certain lines, like, I guess, let's see. Cambridge Springs. But here you have some strong moves. Takes is good, and h6 is good. So you need to know that in this position, I think, you know, even bishop e4 check is a move. But these are the strongest moves for black. And if you don't do them, you're not taking advantage of this move, bishop g5. I had a game with white years ago where I did like queen a4 check. But it's nothing special. So bishop g5, and you're getting transposed now. Maybe you don't care because you don't. If you play this line, you play it. Castles. Normally white now goes back in the normal lines he avoided, the Cambridge Springs or whatever. We have a standard position, bishop h4, b6. Okay, now white plays c takes d5. You play knight takes. There's the move bishop g3, which I played once. It's not very convincing. Bishop takes e7, queen e7, and now white to move. A lot of moves. Knight d5. Is that Spassky Fischer? Capablanca, right? Played knight takes d5. Knight takes d5, e takes d5. Then what? Rook c1. You know, one thing, there's Fischer Spassky. With Fischer, of course, playing white in the World Championship, he never played the Queen's Gambit with white. He always played e4. So this is a very rare example. Fischer beating Spassky in the Tartakover. You know, one thing, though, is like this bishop going to e6. I had a game like this in the New York Open years ago against this guy, Andy, I can't remember his name. Anyway, the point is that the bishop's actually, in many cases, better on e6 than it is on b7 because it actually has a bit more activity. Black shouldn't always dogmatically put the bishop on b7. If you're allowed to, it can be best to go e6, even though you've played b6. See here, it's considered better than bishop b7. So anyway, queen takes e7, and now white plays an unusual move, bishop d3. Black can exchange on c3 and just play, you know. It looks like a semi-Tarash. I mean, takes, bishop b7. You play c5, and white has a microscopic advantage. But there's already a lot of pieces exchanged. This looks like a pretty good semi-Tarash to me. So that's a super safe way to play. What did you do? You did c5 right away. This is riskier, you know. Allowing him to take on d5 and change your structure, I think is riskier. Anytime you move a pawn, you risk weakening your position in some way. So this way, we take on d5 with the bishop. You know, and there are ideas like, of course, with this rook coming over to c8, for example. So either you play bishop e7 or you exchange knights, I would think. c5 right away has only been played in like 3 random games. And I would think that people, you know, they might take on d5 here. We transpose now back to another variation. So white castles. Now you played bishop b7, that's fine. And you should be equal. White played rook c1, this is nothing special. Now you have choices. I was wondering if white's going to take on c5. So I would start to think about things like maybe rook d8. That transposes some games. I wasn't sure what happens here. There are some tactics now. This could be one of those positions. Well, I mean, you probably have like knight to b4. So rook d8 is interesting. You played c takes d4, releasing the tension. And then white probably has to take with a knight, but there's nothing going on. Funny that no one here played c takes d4 except for you. It seems like a reasonable move. I guess white is just a tiny bit better, you know? It's not... I mean, there's really no reason for you to do that. I mean, this keeps the knight protecting c5. So on knight d5, you take with the bishop. If he pushes e4 or something, you go back. And there's really nothing special for white. Look at this move, b4. Oh, man. That's scary. Is that for real? Someone played pawn takes pawn and held a draw. Man, this is scary. Black played bishop c8 now. Black is better after bishop c8, and that's the only move. That's some crazy stuff right there. Wow. Anyways, so knight takes c3 is safe. You played this. This is a new move. How bad can it be? I mean, pawn takes doesn't seem very good. He does that too. I mean, we've already traded a set of pieces in this IQP. I'm not in love with pawn takes. I think that white should take back with the knight here. I don't think that white has anything, but at the same time, I mean, the Poutian versus somebody. Draw 1984. It's pretty equal. But this is risky. I mean, you have knight f4. Maybe that's not good. You know, I keep thinking like there's something like this. He has bishop e4 though. All right, so anyway, it's interesting. It's interesting. Maybe he's justified. All right. He's trying to play for a win with the IQP. No, but I mean, it's more ambitious to take with a pawn for white. I'm not sure it's that bad. Maybe it's subjectively his best try if he wants to win. The computer thinks black is better, but that doesn't mean that it's not a practical try for white. I think this is probably a mistake. We have to look a little deeper. I guess this isn't such a good idea. I was wondering about bishop b1. Knight takes g2. This is insane, but it doesn't work. All right. That's not going to work. It's not going to work because of d5 and other stuff. It almost works. Like knight g2, king g2, queen g5 check, king h1, queen g4, but white has d5. It's that close to working. Unfortunately. Yeah. So I think after knight f4, there's no follow-up for black. Probably. Bishop b1, it likes it though. Knight d7. We got Michael Adams going on here. It looks like you could have played this. Wow. I just wasn't sure of the follow-up. So knight f4 is probably strong. I don't blame you for not playing it though. It's not clear what the follow-up is. You just have to calmly play knight d7. Your knight on f4 is sitting out there, but what can white do? If he plays queen e2, you have all sorts of tactics, like bishop takes f3. That's what I call the elf on a shelf square. I don't think e4 is that bad, though. It's a combative move. Now he plays knight takes e5, which is definitely not right. I mean, this doesn't make sense to me. You know, white choosing to play pawn takes pawn and now trading pieces with knight takes d5. That does not make sense. It's like he totally changed his mind. No, I'm going to play for a draw now. Whereas like 5 minutes ago, he wanted to play for a win. White needs to play, you know, some sensible moves now. Like, I don't know, queen d2 or something. This is really lame. And so now you can only be better, probably, after bishop takes d5. Now you torture him. You know, if this is like Korchnoi Karpov, now black equalizes, and now black plays for a win. You might be able to take the knight on f3. White will get tortured, and it's slightly worse now. a3. No, I mean, seriously, this is a thing that needs to be considered. But the question is timing of it. Dr. Chipchance, tournament runner-up. I think rook development here. Queen d6 is also a move, stopping rook c7. Or queen, that's what you play, queen f6. Yeah, queen f6 makes sense. Okay. Queen f6 makes sense. It does. Okay, good move. And then bishop e2. So white is driven back to passivity. Now rook fd8 looks like a good choice, keeping a7 protected rather than the, you know, routine rook ad8. You know, the only thing is, like, if we go back, I mean, maybe there'll end up being like some value in queen d6 in terms of keeping the rook off the 7th rank. We're splitting hairs here. I mean, white has the tiniest disadvantage. Bishop e2, rook fd8, and now white needs to come up with a plan. I mean, obviously rook c7. The other problem is that your knight doesn't have a square. You know, knight f6 was its only place to go, but whatever. I would expect rook c7. He plays queen a4. This is also reasonable. Now what do? You know, the problem is if you move your knight, he has knight e5. I still gotta say I like your queen on d6 better. How about queen f4, the shelf square? This looks good. Yeah, I mean, I get knight f8, knight g6, but are you going to have time to do that if he plays knight e5? The problem is that in-between moment where, you know, he goes queen e4, you go knight f8, now he can go knight e5. What are you going to do? Trade off his knight? Well, it's slightly better for black, but probably a draw. He also might have f4, but I don't know. Let's say knight g6. Just for kicks and giggles, f4, you can probably take that. All right, he can't play f4. He'll have to take. You trade queens, and now he's in trouble because of the g2 square. And g3 queen e4 wins for black. So this position looks awkward for white. Time to sack a pawn. This does look good. I mean, it's not easy to play white. He's slightly worse. Maybe rook c7, no? Okay, you're coming with knight g6, knight f4 now. This is not a joke. He's played too passively across the board. The queen is bad. The retreat back to e2 is passive. He has no control over f4. I'm counting on knight here. So I guess he's just got to find a way to defend this. Knight e5, knight g6. Sacking a pawn with g3 doesn't look good enough. Though maybe he can be okay here. He's down a pawn, but I'm not sure he's lost. Oh, you're dropping b2. Shit. that's going to drop too. Can't second pawn like that. Yeah. Wait a second. Bishop f3. You're just winning a clear pawn. So this works out better than I thought. Now he's really in trouble. I mean, knight f4 is probably fatal. So his idea was to protect. His idea was to protect this. But knight f4 is like devastating. I mean, I don't know. You know, you have to cut your losses for white here. Rook c3 was the engine's #1 move. Knight e5, knight g6 is quite strong, but the computer, it's close. I mean, he may just have to lose a pawn. I mean, it may be that his best line is something like knight e5, knight g6, and just trying to hang on with the ugly f3. This seriously. So the computer agrees though that rook c3 was a good move, but I mean, what's the follow up? This doesn't do much for white. Some lateral defense. Can you play g3 now? Oh my god. So he has g3. Maybe g3, huh? He's got to stop knight f4. It's not easy though. I mean, you have ways to try to worm your way in there with like the queen. But I guess that's his best shot. If bishop f3, bishop f3, bishop f3, you know, it's not clear if you're winning here. Not at all clear. I don't want to give up that bishop necessarily. So g3. So g3 is like forced. Wow. He does this, letting you into f4. I think this is really going to be bad. He had to play g3. And then the d4 is weak. This bishop can go. There are tactics, but they don't quite work. So what do we do here? You play queen g6, threatening g2. He still has g3, but that'll be different. You don't mind forcing g3. You traded queens. Yeah, I don't know if I like trading queens. My default move would be like just take his bishop, probably. You're clearly better. Maybe you even have to take here. I mean, there's a good chance you're going to win the central pawn. But you may not be winning this position. I don't know. It's a tough one. Tough call. I'm not crazy about trading queens. Queen g6 was the engine move because, oh, you could have knight c2 in between move. Okay, I'm a little bit sleepy. Why does that matter that much? What? Oh, no way. Bro. You sack a queen here? Wow. So this is just like computer's #1 moves. Yeah, well, I didn't see knight c2 check. I didn't see knight takes c3, obviously. That's like an engine line. You were very proud of this. Well, I guess so. I certainly wouldn't have found it. In spirit, you know, it feels wrong to trade queen, so I wasn't even looking at queen g6. Queen f5, same idea. But if you don't have that, you know, it's an interesting exercise to try to figure out what black's best move would be. I mean, you could play something as stupid as like that. He has 95. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, g5 looks crazy. G5, the computer is sacking a pawn. Look at this. The engine wants to play G5, knight e5 and give up the G2 pawn. Wow. I mean, is this like a correspondence game or something? I mean, what's the deal? So, queen G6, knight takes check here, knight takes C3. And now queen C2, knight D1, queen D1. Bishop F3, queen F3. And I guess rook B8, maybe rook D5. So this is likely a technical win. I would think you played a nearly perfect game. That's totally over. Yeah, wow. I'm just curious about the engine evaluation of this game. Did you make any mistakes in the whole game? Looks like flawless. Move 35 was there only inaccuracy? Jesus. Well, I have nothing to add to that. Anyway, guys, I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for watching. And we'll play some Blitz tomorrow. See you guys there. Take care. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.